and welcome back to my channel. Ripcord lives here. I know it's been a while, but we're coming up on a very special event in my life at the moment, and that is the fact that I've been married for almost a year on the 27th of September. And with that, I wanted to bring in something that I really felt people should know from their end when looking at marriage as the next phase of their life. We're going to be looking at about 5 simple areas. These 5 simple areas are nothing more than a touching and way through on what it means to actually live as a married couple. Okay. Number 1, finance can make or break a marriage. Some of the harder aspects of this is deciding a joint account or separate accounts that everybody takes responsibility and pays for their necessary areas. What can be difficult about it is that understanding the fundamentals of this goes a very, very long way. Whichever way you do decide that you wish to make your priority, whether you guys go for current accounts together or a separate account and everybody pays responsible, there needs to be effective communication with it. Under this, there's a couple areas that I will call like subplotting, and these basically make the stress of financial things not a concern in your marriage. Number 1 is having an emergency fund. This will take time. It gets you to a place of comfort, and normally you look at about 6 months worth of expenditure. If you're working according to the Dave Ramsey method, they say $1,000, which to us would be $1,000. And what it does is it gives you a certain peace of mind when you know if things need to be tacked on or fixed or looked at, that you do have the means to do that, and it's not going to come out of any one person's paycheck on that given month. Things are a lot easier when there's less debt involved, and understanding that makes a big difference. When you do not feel that you've got debt sitting on your shoulders for the entire start of that first year of your marriage, it can feel like your money goes a very, very long way. And understanding that with your spouse and how you guys decide that you want to buy things also has a lot of weight. So what you do need to get into a habit is, as another point with under this point, is you need to understand that investing now sets you guys up for big plays later. Luckily, we were blessed with the ability to save a lot of things leading up to the purchase of this house of ours, or this flat of ours. And with that came a certain kind of freedom. It cannot be explained, but all I'm telling you is that we do not pay normal rentals every month. We pay for a mortgage, and it's highly reduced due to that pre-saving game. So looking at that aspect as a whole, it takes a certain amount of pressure away from the person of the two that is paying the mortgage, or if you guys are paying the mortgage together, and it just gives so much breathing room. The fourth option that I would look at underneath this little subplot is having a sinking fund system. So we at the moment are using the envelope method in order to budget every month, and every dollar or rand from our end is assigned to a particular process, and we look at the 4 walls: housing, transport, food, and then utilities. All right. And with that, we've essentially split our chunk of cash that we get in every month into those 4 sectors, and then subdivide them into various areas just underneath that. And that helps us to understand where the money is going, what is assigned to what, and it gives us a lot of play on things that we want to get done. So for instance sake, we are looking at the kitchen. There's a small little portion that we put there for renovations. If we're looking at house maintenance, there's a section that goes under there, and we don't touch that up until the point that we need it for that. But what happens is you end up accumulating quite a bit of cash on this little play in order to get you to the next step of where you are actually able to get things done. It's a sense of fulfillment, and it doesn't make it feel as if your money coming in all the time is just disappearing to bills and utilities, because once you have delayed that gratification of just being able to purchase whatever, it goes a long way. Now, once you have figured out that having these little envelopes put aside, it gives you a sense of peace every month, and knowing that for instance, say someone needs to go and get the rolls for the day and there's a miscellaneous fund for that kind of thing in order to complete your supper run, it makes wonders for your planning.
All right.
Number 6 under this would be do not work or do not live paycheck to paycheck. When you get to the stage where you guys are handling your finances for the first time as a couple, there's a sense of the money comes in, the money goes out. What you need to get used to is living below your means with that. And when I say that, is that there should be a chunk or portion from the previous month that rolls over into your existing month, and vice versa for every month that you roll in. So at the end of the year, what happens is you end up having a chunk of sum of which you can then use it for whatever the case may be, anniversaries, survival factor, etc., etc. This is aside from the emergency fund. And the reason I say this is because within that fund of not living from month to month, once the paycheck becomes less important from the current job that you're sitting with, and additionally, you can look at rewarding yourself if you want or need things on a monthly basis. Then finally, if you are looking to buy things for your house, your place, or yourself, you need to work on a delayed gratification system. And the reason I say this is that when you are looking and purchasing for things for a home for the first time, there's a sense of I must buy this now or else, etc., etc. And you do that normally at the start of the month where things are there's lots of cash, so your eyes are seeing dollar signs or cash signs, and you go for it. The problem that you have with it is that in most of those instances there's a feeling of, okay, I bought it and now what? All right. When I say delaying the gratification, it does one of two things. It helps you to understand if you really require that item, or if it's an item that you can push to the side and get along without. And 2, it makes it sure that you've got the money in place to purchase that. And if you're using any of the other systems from before this, you should be fine. Okay, so number 2, out of things that I've learned over the course of being married to my wife for the year, to appreciate what your partner does for you on a daily basis. When things are tough, real love is reflected in the tiny acts of appreciation and kindness that they make or we would make for each other over the course of a day. And it goes a long way to nurturing love. Okay, number 3. 3. Make real time for each other. This goes without saying in a world that is so busy with everything that is happening around us at the moment, that it's important that you take time out of your schedules and you set that aside for each other so that both of you can enjoy each other's company. It builds a fundamental understanding of what's going on in the other person's life. Taking the time to make each other a priority shows that you care. It makes taking decisions together so much easier. Number 4, and this one is actually quite a shocking surprise, is have a monthly or weekly meal plan. It takes the difficulty out of deciding what's for supper on a given evening. It makes the grocery shopping process so much easier, and it helps you to understand where your money is going to when you are purchasing your groceries for a given month. I cannot explain to you how much easier cooking has become when you know exactly what it is that you're cooking for that evening. As a little sub-tip underneath this, I call it cooking choice fatigue, and that you've used your decisions up in the morning in order to get to the stage where you are making supper for the night, and doing this, taking the planning out of it, makes it so that the meal prep itself is a lot more enjoyable as a whole. The other thing that I will give from my side is that there's a subplot underneath this, and that learning how to spice the food that you have by growing a spice rack that matters. You cannot understand how much more it makes your food an experience. Number 5, easily the most important one out of all of them, is avoid the eye roll when listening to your wife. I cannot explain to you how important it is that you actually listen actively when she is speaking to you about the things that concerns her for the day. And there's nothing that diminishes that more than rolling your eyes because you don't agree with the statement that she is making. It takes away from the conversation and it makes it feel as if she is not appreciated when she is doing the conversation with you. And understanding that at the start, instead of a year later, could have saved me so much grace. A subplot to that would be from my side is looking at things like when you start off and you have that first conversation, you guys divide the chores that you have for each other equally, so that both of them understand that there is worth to the things that they do in their home. I just want to thank you all for coming to the channel today. We're coming up on that 1 year anniversary, just like I said, and I'm very excited to be celebrating it with my wife going forward. Hit the like and subscribe, and we will see you guys soon.